Welcome back to another Film Geek video. Well, the month of March has come and gone, so that means only one thing. It's time for me to rank all of the movies I reviewed in the month of March. All of the films I'm about to talk about, I have done full reviews on, so if I just kind of glaze over the film a little bit, don't worry, there's a much bigger review that you can look up and watch if you would like to know more about these films. Or maybe I will rant. I don't know, sometimes that happens in these videos. Something about the film makes me want to talk about it more. Hopefully it's good stuff, but you know, sometimes there's those movies that just stick in my craw. But anyways, all in all, this is just based off of my personal enjoyment. This is not based off of any kind of Rotten Tomatoes score, Metacritic, or anything like that. This is just the movies that I preferred personally in the month of March. This doesn't really have to do with the quality, the ranking. This doesn't necessarily mean it's the best movie in the known universe. It just means that I enjoyed it a little bit more than the other one. In fact, this month was pretty good. I didn't think that I was going to have a least favorite movie of the month, but I do, as a matter of fact. I do have a least favorite movie of the month, but this was a really solid month, so almost every one of these films I'm about to talk about is very watchable. So you know what? It's enough of me sitting here jibber-jabbering on. It is time for us to get to that series of tubes, the information superhighway, that magical world that Al Gore created, the internet. So it's time to rank all of the new movies I saw in the month of March 2025. Welcome to the internet, everybody. Let's get this party started, shall we? Now, as I said, there was a lot of movies in the month of March. I saw 12 different films, some in theaters, some on streaming services, some were VOD, blah, blah, blah. But I saw a lot of movies in the month of March, and a lot of them were really good. So it's going to be difficult to try to figure all these out. But there is one clear winner for the month when it comes to my personal favorite movie of the month, and that is The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. Yeah, that's right. The Looney Tunes movie is going to win my number one spot of the month because I just can't get over how much fun I had with this movie and just how of a overwhelmingly nostalgic, fun time I had with it. And not in the handheld, not that, spoon-fed kind of nostalgia where they're just like pumping things into you. It was something new and fresh, but it had a very wonderful nostalgic vibe. So this movie is about Porky Pig and Daffy Duck, and they're trying to save the world from an alien invasion. But things aren't quite what they seem. This movie is based off of good old-fashioned 80s schlocky sci-fi of its day. Well, one in particular that wasn't so schlocky. It's based off of the film The Day the Earth Stood Still, and I thought that was excellent. I thought to bring it up in my review of it, and I completely forgot when I was bringing it up because I was like, wow, this is such a great shout out. I actually found it kind of combining two different films because to me it felt like it was combining Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Day the Earth Stood Still, and it did a really great job of putting them into the animation. The animation in this film is brilliant. It's so well done. It's that classic Looney Tunes style that we know. The humor was on point. It's mostly based on, slapsticky, witty type of goofiness and all. I just really enjoyed this movie, and the fact that it was shown so much disrespect by Warner Brothers blows my freaking mind. I did a little rant already on the review of this, so I'm going to move on to my number two movie. And the number two movie is a completely different toned film, and that is The Rule of Jenny Penn. The Rule of Jenny Penn is starring Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow, and it tells the story of people who are living in a retirement home or an old folks home, okay? It is a retirement community. It's an assisted living facility, and John Lithgow plays a patient there who is just ruining people's lives, basically. He is torturing all of the people mentally, physically, the residents of this hospital, and I found this movie absolutely horrifying. Jeffrey Rush's character is playing a man who is, just had a stroke, and he is in the early decline moment, so he's just kind of slowly but surely declining. He's just not going to get any better. This is the way things are. So he's like a prisoner in his own body, and he's nothing he can do, while John Lithgow's character just torments him throughout this entire movie, along with other residents at this hospital, and it is just downright horrifying. As my wife, Charming Amy, put it, it is a caregiver's nightmare that how this film is made. It is just Woo! If you want to watch a nice little slow burn that is just going to keep you creeped out and scared from beginning to end, this is definitely a film for you, especially if you are someone who has ever been a caregiver for a family member or someone who has worked in a nursing home of some sort. It really gets those vibes. You will know exactly what I mean by how horrific this film is if you have experienced something similar. Okay, so that comes into my number 3 movie, and I thought this movie was pretty fun, to be perfectly honest, and that is Mickey 17. Mickey 17 is starring Robert Patterson, and he plays a man who, well, he's not really, I guess he's a man. He's a clone. He's a man who keeps making himself over and over again. Let me explain. So in the future, a group decides that they're going to go off into space and colonize planets. And this planet, they need someone to go down and check out the surface, and you can breathe there and so on. And so in order to do that, they have a machine that can just clone a person instantly. It's like a human printing press, right? Printer. So you just put your DNA and your memories into this machine and bloop, you get a new person. And I thought this movie was absolutely hysterical. I had a lot of fun with it. You know, there is political messages and there's a lot more metaphorical stuff that goes on, but you can also go into this movie and just watch it for a silly sci-fi comedy and still get a little bit of enjoyment out of it if you don't want to pay attention to any of the other stuff in it. I thought the special effects were outstanding. They leaned into practical effects when they could. The CGI was extremely well made. The story itself was somewhat original. There was some stuff in here that's been there before. And I think when it comes to the humor, something that I noticed about this film was, to me, it really felt humor-wise, storyline-wise, and everything like a live-action anime film. So I guess if you're somebody who's not used to that anime-styled humor, you might not find this movie very funny, and I understand that. But I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a blast. If you haven't had a chance to check out Mickey 17, get out there and give it a whirl before it's out of theaters. Because like I said, this film looks really, really pretty. That brings us to our number 4 spot, and we're going into something a little bit more action funny, and that is Novocaine. Novocaine tells the story of a man who has this ability, well, I guess you could call it actually a disability, and that is he cannot feel pain. Well, he works at a bank with this woman, and lo and behold, some people rob the bank and take this woman captive. Well, he decides, I shouldn't say woman, girlfriend, woman he's interested in, he wants to date, whatever. Anyways, the bank robbers come in, they kidnap this woman, and our guy, Novocaine, decides he is going to chase those bank robbers down and save the lady of his dreams, while using his ability of feeling no pain. This film is a very fun guy with a secret type of movie. Normally with these types of things, it's the guy with the secret that he's some kind of special ops, agent or CIA or a spy or something, or he secretly knows martial arts. This is just a guy who can't feel pain. So he just puts himself in scenarios where no other person who could feel pain could possibly be in, and that's how he's able to get to his girlfriend. And I thought it was fun, it was creative. Jack Quaid plays the lead in this film and does an excellent job. It just kind of shows how he's developing himself to be a new movie star, I believe. And honestly, I think he's well on his way. And this movie is an absolute blast. If you haven't had a chance to check out Novocaine, if it's still in theaters, maybe on a streaming service, give this movie a check out if you want to see just a downright fun action comedy. All right, that brings us to number 5. Still in the comedy realm, but going into the horror comedy, the Shudder original, Bloody Axe Wound. Bloody Axe Wound is a very interesting little generational slasher film. This is a very meta movie. It's in a world where slashers, occultist slashers, really exist, and somehow they make these movies. They don't really flesh out how these movies are made in this. You just have to accept the fact. This is almost like a Leslie Vernon with a coming-of-age story attached to it. So you get to learn all the ways that these slashers could exist in the real world, but at the same time, there's this woman or young girl who's trying to take over the business, and it gives this film a coming-of-age story. Let me explain. So let's just do it this way. Jason Voorhees adopts a girl and raises her to be a teenager. Now, Jason, of course, in his older age, he's not able to get out there and do those slasher movies like he used to. And to be perfectly honest, the audience is getting a little disinterested in seeing the same thing over and over again. So anyways, his daughter decides that she is going to take up the mantle and try to do the slasher occulting job just like her dad and keep the video store or video business slasher movie business constantly going. So this film is really more of like a coming of age film and a metaphorical horror type thing at the same time, because I feel like this movie pays homage to the slasher genre in a lot of different ways. We start off with the dad who's supposed to be the Jason Voorhees guy, and it goes into him and how he follows these specific rules, and then his daughter is like, nah man, we can do something different. It was almost like how these movies have morphed and changed over the years. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a Shudder original, so give this movie a check out if you haven't already. Alrighty, that is going to bring us to number 6, and this is going back into the theaters with the movie Locked. Locked is starring Bill Skarsgård, and he plays a man who gets stuck inside of an SUV that is owned by Anthony Hopkins, and he gets caught in this SUV and tortured by Anthony Hopkins. It is crazy. So this film takes place pretty much entirely inside of this SUV, and somehow or another, both Anthony Hopkins and Bill Skarsgård make this film extremely watchable, tense, and suspenseful. Now, don't worry, the movie does get some action eventually. We get some crazy scenes that go on, but most of it is just like philosophical debating in this car while Anthony Hopkins just tortures our character with lack of water, with dehydration, starvation. The seats in this SUV have been electromized. I can't say it. They're shocking. They're tasing him. How's that? I'm gonna take a drink. Maybe I'm just getting a little verklempt here. There we go. I'm trying to make this video not last forever and a day, so I might be going quickly. So, Bill Skarsgård plays a man who's not necessarily a car thief, but he's kind of at the end of his line in this movie. And so he tries to do something that's not that smart, and he tries to steal this vehicle. Anthony Hopkins is playing a man who's decides he's had enough of people stealing his stuff, and so he makes a bait car and keeps him captured. And this film is just outstanding. I love the acting in this movie, the suspense, the tension, the not really knowing exactly what was going on with this, and just Bill Skarsgård's acting ability in this film is really shown off. We're so used to seeing Bill behind a mask and makeup and all, so it's so cool to see him get out there and really show off what he can do with his full range of emotions and face, basically. So if you're curious, check this movie out, because in all honesty, I really like this movie, and I am waiting to be able to put this movie into my collection and watch it again. So that brings us to For Sale by Exorcist, which is our number 7. Let me find that here. Here it is. Gotcha. For Sale by Exorcist. Okay, this was one of my VOD films that was sent to me to check out from Dread, and I really enjoyed this movie. It tells a story of a real estate agent who's not just a real estate agent, she's also an exorcist. So she can come into haunted houses, exorcise them demons, and then flip them for quite a profit. This film was a lot of fun. I thought it was hilarious. If you're just looking for a really unusual, unique horror comedy that's going to make you laugh, this is a film for you. It's currently out there on VOD services. I think it's on streaming services. I know Dread has their own streamer and could possibly find this on something like Tubi or Pluto. But in all honesty, guys, this is a super fun little indie film. Check this one out. I really found myself laughing a lot more than I was expecting to in this film. All right, bringing on another VOD movie, and that is the film Invader. Holy cow, you want to talk suspense? This is a suspense, and it would have probably found itself a little bit higher up on the list if it would have had a bit more of a story attached to it, because this film is more of an experience. It tells the story of a woman who's coming to the States from Mexico to visit family that's living here. And when she finally gets to the house, come to find out the house has been taken over by a home invader, and her family is being held captive by this invader. This film was stress. It was so tense, and it was really cool because it's a very short film. It's only like an hour and 8 minutes, and it just flows along really well. The beginning of the film, there isn't a lot of dialogue in this because it's just her by herself, because she gets to the bus station, her family's not there, and so she decides to walk to the house. So it goes through a lot of the steps that get her to the house, and then by the second half of this film, man, it just takes off, and it is just an absolute trip. And I had a blast with it. So check this one out there. It is on VOD services right now. It's not a lot. It's like $4.99 to rent. I think I watched it. Yes, I did watch it on YouTube. Give this one a watch. All right, so that brings me to my next number 9, and this is the one that I just went and saw recently. A Working Man, starring Jason Statham. I'm not going to go into this one too awful much because I just did my review on this one. This is a bare knuckles brawler action film. It's cheesy, it's silly, it's a throwback to the 90s. It tells the story of a man who was once part of an anti-terrorist unit in the British military. He now lives in the United States and he's a construction worker just trying to have a normal life and take care of his daughter. One day on the site, some men show up and kidnap the owner of the construction company's daughter, and that owner says to his friend, "Could you please go get my daughter?" And then one of the quickest turnarounds in movie history, because he's like, "Could you go get my daughter?" And Jason Statham's like, "Oh no, man, I don't think I can." "All right, I'll do it." It was just like that. I mean, it was just like seconds. He's like, "All right, I'll do it." But man, I had a blast with this movie. This is a Jason Statham type of film. If you're a fan of his movies, you're going to enjoy this film. You're going to find a lot of fun in this. If you're someone who doesn't like a cheesy 90s action film, then maybe not be for you. But I had a blast with this movie. A lot of fun. If it's still in theaters, go check this one out if you're a fan of action movies like this. Alrighty, now this brings us to number 10. Number 10 is another one of my little indie films that was sent to me, and that is The Stress is Killing Me. The Stress is Killing Me tells the story of a group of friends who rent out an Airbnb for their 20th college reunion. While they're staying at this Airbnb, they decide to try to live out the fantasies of the careers that they wanted to have when they were in college. Because, of course, when you grow up, no one ever gets into the career field that they actually want to be in. They always end up doing something that they just kind of settle for, at least commonly. And so this movie gives them the opportunity to act out all of their fun stories that they could have had, basically, with their friends. This movie's fun, okay? It was a great little indie film. I thought it was well made. The production value is really there. It's on VOD and streaming services. It's worth a watch if you just want to watch a movie that's just made by people who are just wanting to have a good time and make a movie. Because that's what this film is. It's a really fun little indie film. It does have some moments that made me chuckle. I did laugh. And I thought that the cast, the crew, the whole 9 yards did a really good film. Did a really good movie. That brings us to number 11, and this is where we are getting to I don't know if you guys really want to watch this movie or not. Number 11 is The Parenting. This is a Max original, and it's kind of a combination of a demon possession and the movie Meet the Fockers. You have a couple who is trying to get both of their get their families to know each other, and a demon shows up and possesses them. It sounds like a lot of fun, and it's got its fun moments. It's got a great cast. Not everybody's coming to mind, but anyways, it is a fun movie. It's on Max, but as I said in my review, it is right there dead in the middle in okays. Like every moment that made me roll my eyes, I did get a chuckle the next moment around. So it does have it's got its stuff. It's not a terrible streaming film, but at the same time, if you don't have Max, okay, whatever. You're not going to miss out on anything by not seeing this movie. Now that brings me to our final film, and this one I am going to say is a 110%, just don't worry about the movie, and that is the prime original, Holland. And I really thought this movie was going to go places. It tells the story of it's basically one of those, like, things aren't right in the suburbs. At least that's the way it's presented. But that's not exactly what this movie is. It goes in another direction rather than what the trailer says. So it's supposed to be about a woman who's living in the suburbs, and then things around her start to feel unnatural and strange. And so her and her friend try to find out what's going on in this community. But, as I said in my review, that's not exactly how it all works out. It all basically centers around just the family in the movie and not the whole community of Holland, Michigan, like they kind of lead you to believe in this. So it's not necessarily one of those things are not all right in the suburbs. And unfortunately, despite the fact the film has its moments where you're like, okay, maybe this isn't so bad, the whole middle half of the movie is it's so boring. It's so hard to get to from the beginning where it sets things up and you think it's going to be interesting, and then to the very end of the climax when everything starts to wrap up in the third act. That second act, it's just a very bland and boring mystery of her bouncing around and finding clues to her husband cheating on her and all, and it didn't work for me, all right? But all in all, guys, I would have to say that it just kind of was a waste of time. So if you don't really want to worry about it, don't even see it, and it's not going to hurt you none. All right, guys, well, there you have it. The month of March, all wrapped up in a little bow and a nice little package for you. So you know what, folks? Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna...